Coming up on NTC News, the NIU Board of Trustees make a big decision this morning on former President Baker's severance package.
And a nationwide crisis is at the doorstep of our community. What DeKalb officials are doing to combat the opioid epidemic.
Plus, is the city going to fill up? How pumping gas into your car may make your pockets run on empty.
NTC News starts now.
You're watching NTC News, DeKalb County's only television news source, on the campus of Northern Illinois University and from the Northern Television Center. This is NTC News Tonight.
Hello, I'm Austin Hanson. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Jesse Schlax. It's Thursday, December 7th.
The Board of Trustees voted unanimously on the fate of former President Baker's $600,000 severance package. Reporter Scott Nickel has more on what happened this morning.
Thanks, guys. It was a packed house at 9 a.m. in Altgeld Hall as the Board of Trustees gathered to vote on whether former NIU President Doug Baker will be receiving that controversial severance package. Baker has already received more than $500,000 of his total severance package after reaching an agreement to resign in June. Soon after, a graduate at-large student and county board member, Misty Haji Sheikh, filed a lawsuit. Nearly 2 weeks ago, a county judge ruled that the board violated the Open Meetings Act. He found the original agreement to be null and void because of the vague terms that were used. Today, the 10-member board voted unanimously in favor of granting Baker the remaining $50,000 of his severance package. In return, Baker can't seek future potential claims against the university and will no longer be a tenured professor at the College of Business that would have netted him an annual salary over $200,000. Haji Sheikh's attorney, Charles Philbrick, spoke to us after the vote on behalf of his client.
There is greater awareness of what happened with regard to Dr. Baker and why the board did what it did. Certainly reasonable minds can differ about the appropriate response to what the investigative report showed, but certainly awareness is much higher.
Acting President Lisa Freeman also delivered her president's report, which included fiscal year 2019 pricing recommendations.
So Scott, what would you say the mood was at the meeting this morning?
Overall, I would say that the mood was pretty tame. There was an awkward moment, however, when Misty Haji Sheikh's attorney, Charles Philbrick, gave his public comment, and then afterwards, Executive Chair of the Board of Trustees, Wheeler Coleman, retaliated back to that comment, and it sent an interesting vibe throughout the room. But other than that, it was very, very tame. Like I said before, it was very packed in there.
Thanks again, Scott. With opioid abuse on the rise, DeKalb officials are working to provide services to prevent drug abuse and overdoses. NTC reporter Carl Reevy has the story.
STEM Outreach hosted a 2-hour-long discussion regarding opioid abuse at Fatty's Pub and Grill Tuesday night. A panel of health and legal officials talked about the causes of opioid addiction, methods of rehabilitation and treatment, and efforts to prevent illicit sales and use. Audience members had the opportunity to interact with the panel and ask questions throughout the latter half of the event. Opioid-related deaths in DeKalb doubled from 2015 to 2016, leaving many wondering why. County Health Department nurse Cindy Graves provided her insights.
It's kind of thought that society in general is there's lack of coping skills, lack of the ability to work through something, and so it becomes a matter of what's gonna create the fix right now.
Opioids are more easily accessible than some would think. Dr. Laura Meyer-Hunko of the UIC College of Pharmacy highlighted that a number of abusers get their hands on opioids through legal means.
So it may be a misconception where abusers are getting their opioids. It's not from the drug abusers on the street that you may expect. It's actually from prescribers or from leftover opioids in the home of families and friends.
Regardless, drug dealers play a significant role. DeKalb Police Commander Steve Leckus says that his department encourages users to enroll in drug treatment programs, while illicit providers are treated much differently.
If we catch somebody who's dealing drugs, we treat it very seriously. That's a priority case. If we identify a drug dealer in the community, we can't just sit back and wait for something to happen. So we do proactively target drug dealers through our targeted response unit and our investigations division.
For NTC News, I'm Carl Reevy.
NIU students make up a small portion of those affected by opioid addiction, but a majority of users within the county are not affiliated with our university.
DeKalb drivers could soon see a hike in gas prices. That's after City Council proposed a 2-cent per gallon tax increase at Monday's meeting. The city manager is working with the council to reduce annual operating costs by more than $1 million. But some residents shared concerns that a gas tax would push people into neighboring towns. The council plans to vote on the proposed budget at Monday's meeting. They also plan to hire more police officers. Judging by today, it may be a white Christmas in DeKalb. Caitlin, will we be able to build a snowman this week?
We certainly will have snow this week, but definitely not enough to build a snowman, so we will have to wait on that later in the season, and it will be cold. For now, back to you guys at the desk.
Coming up after the break.
Sexual misconduct allegations end a career for a popular U.S. senator.
And the Student Association takes aim to promote mental health awareness. Find out what the university is doing to combat the stigma.
Beethoven's favorite fruit. Banana.
Heard about the scarecrow who won an award? He was outstanding in his field.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
After 29 years of service, an NIU professor is retiring to run for the Illinois House of Representatives. Paul Stoddard is an associate professor of geology and environmental geosciences. He is entering the race as a Democrat and is running against Howard Solomon, a DeKalb School District 428 board member. Stoddard says he wants to change the way politics operate and aims to fix the corruption in our governmental system. Stoddard has a prior political background and is a member of the DeKalb County Board. The winner of the Democratic primary will face Republican Jeff Keicher in the general election. A high-profile senator is out after pressure to resign from sexual assault allegations.
Republicans are racing to pass a tax overhaul that is feared to harm low-income Americans. Adam Carr has more in this week's Political Pit Stop.
Thanks, guys. Senator Al Franken is stepping down after a flurry of sexual assault allegations. The Minnesota Democrat announced he will soon be resigning after mounting pressure from colleagues. At least 6 women have accused Franken of inappropriate touching and forcibly kissing them. He's apologized repeatedly for his behavior over the past few weeks, but Franken's fellow Democratic senators say his apologies and admissions are not enough. World leaders are condemning President Donald Trump's decision to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel. The controversial announcement came yesterday to move the embassy from the holy city of Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Critics say the move is likely to signal the end of efforts to maintain peace. Turkey's prime minister says the announcement is like, quote, pulling the pin of a grenade. The Palestinian Islamist group Hamas is calling for a new uprising against the U.S. The FBI director is sticking up for his bureau after President Trump said it was, quote, in tatters. Christopher Wray testified before the House Judiciary Committee Thursday. Trump took aim on Twitter over the weekend for an alleged bureau bias for the probe of Hillary Clinton's personal email account and against him. Wray rebuked the claim, saying the FBI's agents and staff worked their tails off to keep Americans safe. He also said he's respecting the external independent investigations, including Russia's alleged collusion in the 2016 election. And finally, the GOP tax overhaul is facing a new hurdle this week. The conference committee is tasked to smooth out differences between the Senate and House version of the bill. It comes after more Republicans got on board to break the deadlock vote. They previously vowed to vote no in discontent with the measure's 2-week resolution for government funding. A splitting point in the Senate and House bills is whether to repeal the requirement to buy health insurance or face a fine. The committee is slated to send a reconciled tax bill to the president's desk by Christmas. That's all for this week's Political Pit Stop. I'm Adam Carr. Back to you guys.
Students who suffer from mental illness were reminded that they are not alone and that they don't need to feel embarrassed. As part of a push to get that message across, the school held a No Shame campaign event. NTC reporter Katie Smith has more on that story.
The Student Association held a No Shame campaign on Monday. This event offered an opportunity for SA directors and senators to promote mental health and initiatives. Director of Public Affairs John Barth wants to make a positive impact.
Our hope is to help break down the negative stigma that surrounds kids or anyone really that is seeking help to help them with their mental health problems, whether it's depression, anxiety, or whatever it may be.
Students were able to come meet with SA directors and senators as they network and bowl. Barth wants to let those know that there are always others out there to assist and comfort those in need.
We want them to be able to feel like they can come to us or anyone really and talk about what it is that they're not alone and that anybody's here for them to help.
NIU student Mariah Thompson hopes that the event helps people get informed about mental health.
I came because I thought it was a good way for this program to spread awareness about mental illness to those that might not know as much about it as they should.
Students were able to get a free No Shame campaign t-shirt and sign a pledge to the No Shame campaign. For NTC News, I'm Katie Smith.
The NIU Student Association will continue to run the No Shame campaign through next semester.
Women's Hall of Fame honoree Temple Grandin visited NIU this week to discuss the relevance of different minds in society. Living with autism herself, Grandin focused on the autistic brain and the way individuals learn in a campus setting. The author drew from her own experiences and research to explain what she believes are many issues with the educational system today. She is currently advocating a new approach to the spectrum that will remove labels from individuals. Meanwhile, around campus, stress may be at an all-time high as everyone prepares for finals week.
We asked some students for advice on how to manage stress and anxiety when the pressure is on.
Well, I'm dealing with stress of finals by playing video games, playing Rocket League and Fortnite a lot. It helps ease the stress, and it kind of just alleviates the pressure of it all.
It's not as bad as people would say it is. I mean, as a freshman, you would be scared, but it don't seem that hard.
It helps by making sure I can ease the tension. I don't go crazy while I'm doing the homework or looking over some organic chemistry stuff.
Well, just pay attention mostly to what you were doing in class from before. Take a lot of notes and, don't lack on things, just get it done.
While university students may be frantically getting ready for finals week, elementary students got a dose of what college life is like while they had fun with NIU's interactive STEM stations. Reporter Bea Garcia has more on the story.
The Convocation Center was filled with young students from all over the Chicagoland area for this year's Education Day. Elementary and middle school students were given the opportunity to participate in interactive activities involving math, science, technology, and engineering. Volunteer Joe Davidson thinks this kind of event can be eye-opening for young students.
It's cool to see that all this stuff is fun, and there's a lot of different stuff in their everyday life that you wouldn't think of unless you came to something like this.
Volunteers used each station to teach students about different topics such as momentum, energy, and static electricity. Each station had a representative from a different NIU athletic program, which allowed the children to be exposed to sports while also learning about math and science. For fourth grader Jacob Lover, getting out of the classroom is a breath of fresh air.
I think it's cool because kids should be able to come as field trips and not just stay at home. Stay at school and work. We should be able to have fun and have field trips.
After learning more about STEM subjects, students were able to cheer on the women's basketball team in their game against Loyola and also meet mascot Victor E. Husky. For NTC News, I'm Bea Garcia.
Food for Fines is back again as the Founders Memorial Library is teaming up with the Husky Food Pantry to reduce library fines and help feed students. Organizers say the donated items can go toward as much as $10 off your overdue fines. The items must be non-perishable and unopened. It includes things like spices, canned tuna, pasta sauce, and paper goods. Organizers say they made some changes to the drive this year regarding prices for each food item.
So this year we changed the focus to an actual food drive for the Husky Food Pantry, and then we also broadened how much the donations are worth. So it's anything from $2 to $10 depending on what people bring in.
The Food for Fines program has been around in years past, but this year it is revamped to offer more assistance to those in need. Food for Fines will run through December 16th. A nasty cold front has moved in over the past few days, forcing us to pull out our heavy jackets.
Caitlin, how long is this cold front going to be around?
Well, I can tell you it will be around for a while, with 2 cold fronts coming in next week as well. Taking a look at the weekend, Friday will be partly cloudy with a high right around 36 degrees. Winds will vary between 10 and 20 miles per hour with snow showers starting in the evening and continuing overnight. The low for Friday will be right around 22 degrees, and the chance of snow for Friday is 50%. Going into Saturday, it will be cold, windy, and mostly cloudy skies with a high near 27 degrees. Winds will be right around 10 and 15 miles per hour with gusts up to 25 possible, so it could get very windy. The low for Saturday, will be right around 15 degrees. Going into Sunday, it will continue to be mostly cloudy during the day with full cloud coverage by late afternoon and a high near 36 degrees. The low will be right around 26 degrees with winds winds between 10 and 15 miles per hour, gusts up to 20 possible, and there is a 40% chance of late night snow showers. Taking a look into the week ahead of us, a cold front will pass through between Monday and Tuesday, bringing colder temperatures and possible snow flurries. The week will end with a secondary cold front passing through Wednesday night, which will drop temperatures further and increase the chance for more snow flurries. That's all for the weather. I'm Caitlin Lauren. Let's send it back to the desk.
Intense wildfires are burning through Southern California. The inferno-like fires are forcing thousands to evacuate the area. The 4 major fires include Ventura, Los Angeles, and Santa Clarita, which are causing the most concern to those battling the fires. Officials say hot and dry winds, along with dry vegetation, are fueling these flames.
Coming up after the break.
NIU football gets ready for postseason action.
Plus, a historic DeKalb museum is transitioning into the Christmas spirit. More on NTC News after the break.
what to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys, preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Bowl season is here for our Huskies, and the men's and women's basketball seasons are in full swing. Let's send it over to Tom Burton to catch up on this week's sports.
The women's basketball team took on the Loyola Ramblers at the Convo in a rare mid-morning game with an 11 a.m. tip-off. Courtney Woods and Kelly Smith led the charge as both players surpassed the 1,000-point milestone for their career. Woods was the high scorer, finishing with 22 points, while Smith added 18. Michaela Voigt and Maya Starks also scored in double figures to help the Huskies' balanced attack. NIU wins by a final of 80-71, giving them their 5th win in the last 6 games. The men's team got caught up in a cyclone as they traveled to Iowa State. Husky guard Eugene German had a season-high 28 points, but it was not enough to stop the Iowa offense. With both three-point shooting and inside layups, the Cyclones outscored NIU in the second half 58-42. The Huskies fall by a final of 94-80. This marks their second loss in 3 days as they look to right the ship against Central Connecticut State. On Saturday, tip-off is at noon. Even though the football team did not make it to the MAC championship game, they will be returning to Ford Field. It was announced Sunday that they will play in their 9th bowl game in the last 10 years at the Quick Lane Bowl. The Huskies will face the 6-6 Duke University Blue Devils of the ACC in the Quick Lane Bowl December 26th. The game will take place at Ford Field, the site of the annual MAC championship game. Head coach Rod Carey said he hoped for a different location, but is happy about returning to a bowl game after not playing in one last season.
I think overall, listen, everyone has dreams of a bowl game of being down south and on the beach and a great opponent. Well, you didn't get that part, but we still got a great opponent, and we got a bowl game. So.
The Huskies finished the season with an 8-4 record and 6-2 in the Mid-American Conference. The team's last bowl game came in 2015 at the Poinsettia Bowl, where they lost 55-7 against Boise State. Redshirt senior safety Michael Allen is excited to return to his hometown of Detroit for his last career game as a Husky.
For me personally, I'm from Detroit, so just going home, get to play my last college game in front of my family and friends is a big deal in front of Husky Nation. So pretty excited to go against a pretty good matchup.
Allen is joined on defense by redshirt sophomore defensive end Sutton Smith, who was named MAC Defensive Player of the Year. The Huskies' defense ranked in the top 20 in the nation in total defense and looks to continue that in the bowl game.
Intercepted again off the pressure. This one taken away by Jawan Johnson. Another pick six.
The Quick Lane Bowl kicks off at 4:15 p.m. Central Time. The Huskies are 4-7 in bowl games since 1969 and are 0-4 in Rod Carey's coaching tenure. And in Olympic news, Russia is banned from competing in the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. The punishment was issued on Tuesday in response to the country's extensive state-backed doping program. Russian officials are forbidden to attend, and the Russian flag will not be displayed during the Games. Athletes that test negative from Russia are invited to participate under the Olympic flag, but if they win, they will not be recognized with a medal. The Bears continue their less-than-stellar play against Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers. The Bears' highlight was undoubtedly this Tariq Cohen punt return, where he sent the entire defense one way and decided to turn the field the other way for the 61-yard punt return. The Bears, however, were beaten by one of their all-time best players and former kicker Robbie Gould, who kicked 5 field goals and defeated the Bears 15-14. The Bears take on the 5-7 Cincinnati Bengals this Sunday. While the Bears continue to let down, the Blackhawks look to bring home good fortune to Chicago sports. Unfortunately, the Hawks had to play from behind the entire game. Senators superstar Alex Ovechkin netted 1 goal and added 3 assists for 4 points on the evening. The Hawks pulled their netminder Gustav Forsling after giving up 3 goals on 10 shots, but it was too little too late as they fell 6-2. The horrific Chicago Bulls traveled to Indianapolis to duke it out with the Pacers. The Bulls led in this game for 47 of the 48 minutes and somehow found a way to lose again. David Nwaba chipped in with 11 points off the bench while Chris Dunn led the team with 18 of his own. The Pacers came out storming back in the second half and put the pressure on the Bulls. During a crucial possession, Denzel Valentine crossed up his own ankles so bad it led to an Oladipo steal and a 3 to win the game. Come on, Denzel, it's not what Tom Izzo taught you at Michigan State. The Bulls have now lost 10 straight and have officially gone into full tank mode. That will be it for this week in NTC Sports. I'm Tom Burton, and as always, go Huskies. Let's send it back to the desk.
It's lights on for a DeKalb Christmas tradition. NTC reporter Scott Nickel has more on how the Elwood House decked the halls this year.
The Elwood House Museum hosted its largest event of the year last weekend when they opened their doors to locals for the 50th annual holiday traditions. Assistant director of their museum, Scott Tews, says he expected around 600 people to tour the house, which has 19 different rooms and 4 different floors for the event. Each room of the house was decorated by one of 17 different local businesses, and there were volunteers in each room giving guests historical facts of the house when the Elwoods lived there. Tews says there is a lot of work from a lot of people to create the festive event.
It does take 2 full weeks to get the house all decorated for the season. Something like 20 Christmas trees, lots of lights. It ends up being around 100 volunteers or so over those 2 weeks.
Tews says this signifies the beginning of the holiday season for some locals, and each year the house's theme is different.
People say they like to kick off their holiday season here. The decorations are different every year, so even if you've been to the house before, you're still seeing something a little bit different each year.
Elwood House Association board member Amanda Wilgus says the event is significant to the DeKalb and NIU community because people don't always understand who the Elwoods were and what they meant to DeKalb and its development.
The beautiful thing about the Elwood House is that I don't think we could ever fully appreciate how wealthy and how inventive the Elwood family was. I mean, their entrepreneurship literally led them all across the world.
On top of touring the mansion, guests were treated to holiday tunes by members of NIU's Harmolodics a cappella choir, which could be heard throughout the house. The DeKalb Park District paired with NIU business fraternity Pi Sigma Epsilon to decorate the lawn and exterior of the mansion. Prior to the fraternity's involvement 2 years ago, the lawn had not been decorated. Tews says around 1,000 people will learn all about the Elwoods House this holiday season. For NTC News, I'm Scott Nickel.
The Elwood House was turned into a museum in the late 1960s and has been hosting the holiday tradition event ever since. That's it for us. NTC News Tonight is produced and directed by students here at Northern Illinois University, and this is the last show of our fall semester.
In collaboration with WNIJ, we're going to leave you now with a cheer accident song called Humanizing the Distance. It will air Thursday night at 7 on 89.5 FM and WNIJ.org. Take care, everyone, and happy holidays.